Okay, we're good, I think. Okay. So let's come to here. Now I wanted to go to path tutorial. XSD, again, I repeat, please get a clear idea. You should skill it to create those components. Please do understand. And we're talking about an XSD, you must to go for XSD data type as well. So XSD data types and XSD, everything you go through it and get an idea on it. And once you are there on that, that will be really help you going forward. Okay, coming back to the next item, XPath introduction. So what is an XPath is? XPath is how we accessing an element in an XML file. Okay, so before we getting into this, the first thing first, let me to wind up. So how we linking XSD and XML, that is important. Okay, how we created this XSD, if you remember yesterday, I did created the XML file first. After creating the XML file, I was creating this XSD. Okay, while creating this XSD, the data type factor. This data type factor will help you later when you're creating the web services. That's a WSDL file. So without this data types, if you're creating a web services, that will cause us a trouble at the time of application building. So whenever we're talking about XSD, element and it is data type is very, very important factor in this element list. Now, coming into my XML file where I don't have a value in any one of these XML element, let's say, if my values are blank, and if I'm going to creating an XSD for this particular file, watch it, what is happening. So let me go to create an XSD now, new schema from XML document I'm going to create. So this would be, again, I'm going to call this as a dummy.xsd. The source file is here, browse. One of you yesterday pointed me in the XSD file, what I was created as XS, the tool was created as XSD. Okay, that you mentioned it yesterday. So when we were referring this particular file, right? So this particular code, when I explaining it, you did observe it. The one code which the tool was created as had XSD over here in terms of the namespace. Even that I could have controlled this as a prefix. So here it is in the tool, I can do this. The prefix is XS. So if I set the prefix over here, now I'm going to creating it. Okay. Now you would have observed in the source. Where is the prefix? It's went on to the default one again. Okay, looks like I need to revalidate. Okay, we'll do that. But the most important thing is over here. If you see this this 4 element, do you have data type of this elements over here? Can you see my screen?
No data type, sir.
Yes. So there is no data type. If there is no data type, the problem with these kind of thing is, okay, for this particular dummy.xsd, let me to create a dummy.xml file. Okay, so from the XSD file, you need to create an XML. This XML only for to being a source for your XSD alone. This one cannot be validated. Okay, if you want to validate an XML file, there are two things in XML file. One is verification, one is validation. Verification means the 3 rules you need to apply. That is, cases are same, open element, closed element is there are not. Okay, and the appropriate order of element, the simple element, complex element is maintained or not. These are things which we will verify in an XML file. But in the case of validation, for example, here, let me just say street number, or this could be something like a mobile number. Being a mobile number element, expected that only numerical field, numerical value should be given here. If I say it's a price, expecting a price element, only the numbers should be expected there. There shouldn't be a text. But this cannot be validated unless otherwise your XML is associated with your XSD. This is an XML file not associated with XSD, so you cannot compare it. Okay. How do we link XML or how do we validate an XML and XSD? So you need to give an element name called XSD path. Okay, how to validate an XML using XSD. So you need to add an element. Okay, so that element would be, you will be building on something like this. Okay, this is a JavaScript code, C#, Node.js. No, none of this I looking on it. I'm looking for an XML code. Again, this is an XML editor validator. I'm not looking for that. In JDeveloper, I want to do it. These all are online tools. No, I'm not doing this. Linking XSD in XML. Yeah, that I'll go with it. So there will be one line which you need to add it along with the namespace. We need to attach the schema location. So this is what the one line you need to attach it. The schema location is a word which you need to attach with your source code. So first I need to paste it in my clipboard. And then the next I need to give it in my XML file. Okay. So in the XML file, when we are linking these entries, yeah, preferably you can give the other references as well, something like your namespace references, you can give it. So I can copy starting from here. Okay, and that would be part of your, as you can see, it is part of your root node. So copy that. Okay, now let me come back. So my root node is here. It is address is my root node. So pull it in address. Within the element, give a space. Now here I paste it. So XMLNS namespace, one is, then no namespace schema location. Okay, which will be, I say, whatever your XML file name. So here, if I were to say this is a part of a sample.xsd file, if I were to create like this, then the street number, whatever I'm supposed to typing it, which is a text, it's supposed to throw an error. But if you see over here, it is not throwing any error. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, if you check the sample.xsd here for a cross reference, in sample.xsd for the first element street number, what's the data type we said here?
The integer.
Integer. So this file supposed to throw error for me on this particular line when I give a text, but it's not happening because this XML file wasn't created using the XSD. It was created blankly, okay, without any support of XSD. So it cannot refer the XSD even though you give these lines. Okay, how can I make this happen? To make this happen, what I need to do it is, let me remove these things. I need this particular source code. Let me have a copy of it, or it's the choice is ours. Okay, it's a need not to have the code copy also. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to creating an XML file. Earlier, what we did is I just created XML document like this, right? But now this time I'm going to do from gallery XML document from XML schema. So this one will be having automatic reference to the XSD whatever we are created. So previously, if we created this through XML document, we used it. But now I'm going to do this via this. Create XML document from XML schema is the option. I'm going to selecting it now. Click OK. So now what would be the file name eventually? This is my sample new, my file name, and this is my schema. The schema would be sample.xsd. So when I create like this way, you can see that the XML will be automatically created with all the necessary code. You can see that the namespace, schema location, everything is automatically added. I'm not manually feeding any code here. After this is done, if you observe it, there is only one line throwing error in this file. Which line?
Street number.
Street number. Why it is throwing the line error? It is saying the value is supposed to be a numeric. So here I not to give anything yet. So that is why the error. So the moment I give some numeric there, that error will be resolved. The rest and all is text column. So eventually you give it or you not give it, being a text empty is allowed. So eventually it wouldn't be a problem. So now this is an XML associated with or validated with XSD. Okay, for to do this, there are three elements. Particularly, the most important element here is this one, schema location. So the exercise schema location is an element which will point to your file sample.xsd, which are in your local directory. Do I need to add this in the front? No, you need not to. Even if I remove this, it will be fine. The code will be simply will work still. So that will be if I'm trying to type some text over here, for an example, the moment I type a text on it, so eventually it's supposed to give us an difficulties. Okay, so let's say if I'm going to save it, I remove that as well. Looks like impacted that code. Yeah, now it is association is broken. Okay, because of that modification what I did. So that association is broken over here. Let me do it again. So I will delete this.
GPU RTX 50 GTS
should have been done through refactoring. You cannot delete directly like this. Right click and delete. If you want to delete, you're supposed to go to refactoring here. Under refactoring, you should have a delete option. That would be the right way to delete those files. Okay, so okay. Now let me do it again. Based on the sample.xsd, I need to create. Go for that new XML document from XML schema. Okay, so now that will be my, let's say, sample new again. Okay, sample new, browsing for the XSD, opened up. Next. Okay, this is what the target namespace, which it is automatically creating. Okay, do I have any other option to remove this? No, I don't have it. I don't have an option to remove this target namespace. Okay, and the root element from your XML file is automatically detected. That is what your first element, address element. So in your root element, these are the target namespace will be injected. That's what it's stating over here. Okay, now after these are things are identified, when you say finish, so that is why this particular one, which it is built inside. So the moment when I removing the target namespace or editing the target namespace, the schema location, it is the configuration impact. Okay, now here this one is expecting a number over there. So if I type a text over here, that will be a validation fail. So my XML is validated by a XSD is failed here because my XSD says this is supposed to be a number which I have given a text in this. So eventually that one is failed. So the moment I give a number, that would be resolved that error and the rest and all is fine. You give a number or text, completely okay with it. Okay, so this is a XML file validated through the XSD. Okay, this is one part. Now let me give the other part. So I already created a dummy.xsd in which I don't have any data type over here. This dummy.xsd was created used against the other text file which I had no value on it. I removed all the value from here. After removing all the value, I created this dummy.xsd. Here, the major thing, the concern is there is no data type. Only the elements are created. Simple element, complex element does created. But unfortunately, there is no data type associated here. So if I'm going to create an XML using this XSD, there won't be any validation applicable. So here it is. I'll go to the project again. Go to the XML document from XML schema. Okay, so now this would be dummy.xml. The schema would be my dummy.xsd. Next and finish. Now this is the newly created XML file based on my dummy.xsd, which doesn't have a data type. So eventually what will happen? By default, this will be a blank elements or empty elements. Now, if I'm trying to have something, okay, which it is here, I'm saying the street number, which I am typing a text value over here. Is it doing any validation?
Without doing any.
No. For text, it's supposed to throw error, right? But is it throwing error? No. Why it is not able to throw error? Because your source XSD file doesn't have a data type here. If you don't have a data type here, this is what will happen. Your XML cannot be validated properly. So if your XML need to be validated properly, then your XSD must have a data type properly. If you need an XSD properly, then your source XML file should have a value properly. So first you create a proper XML with subsequent value in every single element. For learning purpose, I created this empty element for you. Now you know what is empty element is. You learned it. So eventually you create a proper element over here. That is town name. And then after, for based on this, a proper XML file, create a proper XSD file. That is very important. Because in every element, having the data type is very important. Otherwise, that particular XSD files, you cannot use it for data type validation in your XML later. When you're bridging your XML and XSD, it cannot perform any validation if your XSD has no data type. Am I clear?
Sir, sir, can you explain once again why we used those links? Example.org.
Yeah, so the reason for this link is, for example, the sample new, which we have created, that's an XML file which we created. So the link here refers where you do have the data type declared for this XML file. So technically, something like you're creating a table, you're inserting a record, right? To insert a record in a table, first you need a table description. So describe table is the area where table is created first. So in which it says employee number means it should be a number. Employee name means it should be string. Employee data file means it's a date. So these data types are defined in the table architecture so that when you are inserting a record, if you are giving a text in a employee number column, it will throw error. If you're giving a number in a date column, it will throw error. If you give a string in a name column, it wouldn't be an error. So something like that. So data type is first created, then after record should be inserted in a table. So the same way to validate an XML file, preferably you must have an XSD file. And these existence of the XSD file in your XML file is mandatory so that it can validate it. For example, watch me closely. Here I am making a text typing. Is it throwing error immediately?
Yes, sir.
It is throwing the error, right? So here is your error.
Yes.
What is the error says? The value must be following data type. What are the data type? Type name is integer. Primitive data type is decimal. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
yeah. So the data type error is indicating over here. Now observe me. If I don't have this particular my sample.xsd, the XSD file linking is if it is not there. Particular line. Subsequently, if you have observed it, at this particular seat number also automatically released. Can you follow me?
Yes.
Yes. So in XML, there are two type of validation is there. Okay, what is what? One is syntactical validation, means that uppercase, lowercase, open element, close element. So these and all basic validation in XML. There is the one more validation is there, data type validation. To perform the data type validation, the file is supposed to contain this schema reference. So if you have the schema reference in your XML file, which is done through this element called schema location. So once you link the schema location in your file, eventually your XML elements will undergo a data type validation as well. So if a particular element must be a number, if a particular element must be a date, if a particular number must be element must be a decimal number. So these are all the validation it can perform. For example, this is something like integer. So I am trying to give, let me to say, this is a number only, but I'm decided to give a floating point. So when I give a floating point literal, it is throwing you error. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that
Yes,
is
sir.
called the data type validation. So let me to remove those floating points. So let me to say everything is 000. Still you can see it is validation failed. It's not a floating. It's supposed to be an integer. So I remove the dot, and as you immediately see, the error is resolved. So this is called as a data type validation in XML file. The data type validation on XML file can be achieved when you are linking your schema location element inside your root element. So inside the root element, you need to attach this schema location element. Okay. What about the other two? What is this XMLNS and XMLNS? This I already explained to you yesterday. It's a part of a namespace component. That EID example, we discussed that yesterday. So that's a part of a namespace. So you are having a namespace here. Okay, so here it is my sample.xsd. If I'm typing some text over here, this is throwing me an error. Okay, let me remove the namespace. Let's see, is it allowing me? So remove this namespace. Okay, then I decided to go only the schema location. I don't enter the names. Directly giving only schema location. This is a tool created by. So subsequently, when you are taking in the configuration, you are to do the validation. It is unable to do the validation now. It has a character, but it is not showing there. Bring in again all those things, and now when I do text over here, so eventually what is happening is it is there. So when you're creating those XSD file through the tool, please be careful. Unless otherwise, you must edit the changes, and you know this is not going to harm the environment. Then you can do the changes. Collapse your
Is taking data global, that is taken.
right? You need to link the library. From the library, it will get a reference. Same way here, an XML will get a link with your XSD to get a reference of what would be a data type of this particular element. Street number should be a number. Mobile number should be a number. Okay, higher date should be a date.
Okay. Can you show this reference page once? I want to check, want to see that. So then why did you give here also other references?
Which references, dear? Where we do have the references?
On one XML schema, example.org, example.
No, this is namespace, dear. For namespace. Okay, these are all your when access the schema, there are few elements which is coming from your configuration page. For example, let me show you how we create this. Okay, I want to create a XSD based on my XML file. Okay, so that's why I went on it. Let me create my own XSD. Please hold this. I go to my XML project, go to the new. Now I want to create my schema. Now another XML document, just create my schema. Okay. So now here I need to give test sample XSD. This is directory, and this is the namespace which it is coming automatically. Okay, let me remove this. Since I removed the namespace also. Since you removed the namespace, prefix is automatically gone by. Click OK. Okay, now I go to my source. You can see that These things are, even though I don't have anything on it, still you can see it. These all things are the schema references, the prefix references. What is the prefix here? XSD. XSD is the prefix. And XSD is pointing to where? It is pointing to this particular URL, http w3.org 2001 XML schema. What is this one? None other than our W3 school only. Okay, because the W3 school references is globally accepted URL for any time when you are using a XML XSD references. Okay, so that's the URL which you can see it. The XML schema definitely everything is up here. So this would be the URL which it is referred as a my XSD reference XML namespace reference here. This one I didn't create any. Okay, but still, since you wanted, I want to remove this entirely. Okay, now since I removed XML namespaces, so these are not allowed. So now let me to remove these prefix also, because it is not there, it shouldn't be there. Okay, now the element. Do I have all these elements? No, I don't have it. So I have to create my own, right? So let me to paste the code what I copied from here. Let me to come to here. I'll copy this. I'll bring it here. And I paste it. So schema started in the top. Okay. And the first element is the name is address. Okay. And the element name address, when you are creating it, eventually what you will do it is it goes on element name is employee address. Then it is a complex type. Then it is a sequence. Everything will go on. Yeah, the most important factor over here is what is the prefix is access. The code is unable to recognize what is the access prefix you are using here. So eventually what I need to do, I need to remove all the access. So I'll go to my edit menu. Going for the looking for find and replace. Do I have the find editor? No, I don't see it. Okay, yeah, I do have it here. So in this, I will select access colon, which I wanted to replace with. There would be a replace button here. This is what my replace button. Click the replace button, replace with blank. So replace all. So all my prefix access is removed from my code. Okay. Once it is removed from a code, which I starting with element over here. Okay, let me to cut those. Probably I should have done that as well. Again, the same, copy that, give it in the find. Okay, sorry, this one. Find open bracket space. Replace that with only open bracket. Replace all. So subsequently, it will be automatically adjusted that. Okay, so cut the unnecessary space. All is done. Okay, now observe the code. Do you have any error in this code? No, the code is not having any error. We stick only the element. The element is complex type. It has a sequence. Element is another one, which has a complex type. Then the sequence. So here, this is also I wanted to be test string. So I'll give that over here. Okay, so done. Now this would be my test sample.xsd. So my XSD is created without any of those prefix and suffixes, without any of those namespaces. Everything we removed it like a manually created XSD file. I created this now. Right, save this changes. Now this XSD is okay. What I need to do, the next important thing, I need to do include this in an XML file. Okay, let me create one. Right click XML, go to the new create a XML document from XML schema. Okay, go for it. And let it be. This is untitled as it is. Schema location, I'll browse and I'm looking for this tsat sample, which I'll be mapping it here. If you observe it here, what is the problem? It doesn't have a namespaces. it doesn't have a element where I supposed to refer on. So what is this URL actually helping you is in the XSD, you are referring something called about element. What is element is? You are referring something like XSD string, XSD integer, XSD date and date type. So what is this all about? I'm not understanding these references. That is what that particular namespaces are linked for. So whenever my engine is needed understanding about what is the namespaces, what is the XSD string is all about, what is the XSD integer is all about. So here it will comes into, and that will gives the more detail about, here it is the data type. So schema part 2 data type, the schema part 2 data type will have the more clarification about what are the various data type, what is mean by integer, what is mean by string and all those detailing will be here. So something like a library linking, that is what that particular line is used for. Okay, still I wanted to say ignore the errors and continue. I'm forcefully doing to do that application building. So as it is went on, target space is null, root element address in which it is going to create, and I'm going to say finish. So when I do like this, you would see it. Still there is a one target namespace that is created, and the schema location now you can see without any prefix directly it is referring test sample.xsd. And here in this one, which is a street number, street name, village, town, everything we do have it. And look at it, the source file does as a data type here. But unfortunately, what happened? This one is directly a closing element. Okay, now let me type that over here, having some text and begin with the closing element street number. Okay, the street number as per my XSD, I said clearly it is integer, right? But if you see it here in this XML, I was typing a text. Is it throwing any error?
No, sir.
No, it is not doing that error because even though you said integer here, what is integer? The J developer has no idea. What is the combination of int, egr to be? What, whether it's a number or character, I don't know. It's just a combination of few alphabet. So where is the definition for integer? That is what you do have it when you created a appropriate XSD file. So if I go to my sample.xsd, if we see it here, there is a XSD reference. What is this XSD? The XSD is a prefix. What does the prefixes do? The prefix is doing direction to the namespace. What is the namespace? The namespace is directing to w3.org of XML schema. What is XML schema? That is talking about this one. So it is linking to each other as you see all this thing. When you fail to link like this, you don't have any idea about what is integer in difference with what is XSD colon integer. So you have created only integer here. There is no XSD colon integer. So eventually the XML is failed to do the data type validation. This is why those namespace, those prefix and all match in your application. So it is bring in all the necessary libraries for references. Am I clear here?
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay, that's enough for the first half. We'll take a break 15 minutes. Refresh yourself for 10-15 minutes. If you want to try this, go on. So first you should have create your the first XML file. First you need to create it. While creating that XML file, remember you always do go with the values. That's very important. This XML file one and only for referential purpose only. This one will be referenced for the appropriate XSD creation. After that, this file is no use. Okay. Now, whatever the new XML file I've created, even though I bring these commands into my the first copy of XML file, that's my source XML file. If I bring it, still it won't do the data type validation. Please understand. So I put those lines over here. Still, okay, when I type a text, it never do any validation because it's not really about here. Okay, the thing is even here in each of the element. So if you look at that sample view.xml, if you observe it, okay, so here how come it is working? Because this was a file created after the XSD is created. That is why here the references will work, but in this file, those references doesn't work because this was created before the XSD creation. So in this particular one, these all files are not needed for me. So let me remove it. So the total number of files, what it is expected is only 3 over here. So the first one was sample.xml, okay, and which was my source file to create my sample.xsd. After the sample.xsd I created using sample.xsd, what I did create a sample new.xml. Okay, once the sample new.xml is ready, I mean, even before that, once the sample.xsd is ready, once this one is ready, the need for sample.xml is over. So this sample.xml, even if you bring in the linkages, okay, even if you bring in these linkages, still it won't do the data type validation here. So this XML usage is completed as soon as you created the XSD. Please do understand that. Once it is addressed, this file is no need to be exist anymore. So this file, because it never do validation also. So let me to delete this. After I'm deleting this, what I need to do, I need to create a new XML file based on the XSD what we created. Okay, so let me to go to sample.xml. So now you can see after I save it, obviously it has started doing a validation. So this is what the big difference is. Okay, now when I do the number, it will be resolved. So this is how the order it will be created. So first you create a dummy XML. Based on the dummy XML file, you create the necessary XSD file. Once your XSD file is ready, even in the older XML file, you can try those references and save your changes. Then observe your XML will become the validation XML. Okay, so there are two things which we are addressing in this. One is the element validation. Another one is data type validation. Element validation can be done it manually. Uppercase, lowercase, open, close is properly there or not. But for data type validation, you must to have a source XSD. That is important. To create a source XSD, you need one source XML. Okay, so this is the order which we created. After all these things is done, in the same source XML, you can add this line. That is okay. After adding this line, save your changes and see validation is working or not. If it is working, good, leave it. If it is not working, this source XML usage is done and dusted. It's not needed anymore. So what I will do, I will delete this XML file. So now I end up with one XSD file and one XML file alone. If you wanted to rename, you can rename it simply to sample.xml. That is enough. Or else you can leave it as it is. Okay, that is fine. So there is a one XML file which is created after the XSD creation. That's how the order it should be. Once we reach this, the XML and XSD catering will be completed. We take a 20 minutes break, starts from 10:50. So at 11:10 we resume, in which we'll move on to the next topic. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Take a break and join at 11:10. Plan accordingly.
Sir,
Yes, dear, tell me.
sir, we created an XML using an XSD, and later on if we update the XSD, will it reflect on the XML file?
Yes, after you save the changes. For example, okay, let me just share my screen one more time. Acknowledge once you're able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here I said this integer, I'm going to changing this into string. After I'm changing into string, I save this changes here. Now I go to my XML file. In the XML file, here I'm going to type text now. I save it. It's saying still. No, it's not allowing us. So once the XSD is created, after that XSD creation, now changes are it is accepting. So those references are not accepting over here, dear. Okay, unfortunately. You will try one more time. Okay, we remove this element and redo it. We can give a try on that. But obviously, when we return from a break, we can do those experimentation. Okay, we'll take a break.